Hello, welcome or welcome back to The Clown Car. It is me, your resident jester, here to talk to you about another random subject. This one I actually did make a script for. I wrote something down for it, I promise. Maybe I'll make more sense today. Since I made a video the other day about how to get a life, I thought today I'd make a video about how to handle being alone. I spent a lot of my time being very lonely when I was growing up, and even as an adult, I now really enjoy my alone time. But it didn't start out that way. It took a very long time to get to the point where I was comfortable being by myself, enjoying my alone time. And I'm here to give you some advice on the things you can do to make sure that you enjoy your own company. You're the most important person in the world to get to know, so let's start that process today. And as always, thank you so much for watching. If you could leave a like, a subscribe, comment down below the things that you did like, the things that you didn't, what you'd like to see more of in the future, and if this video helped you out at all. Let's get right into the subject. So I grew up a very lonely kid. Like, I've always been a loner. I was a Jehovah's Witness growing up. I was undiagnosed autistic. I hit puberty before all of my classmates. I was taller than everybody by the time I was in 5th grade. I wasn't very popular. I didn't really make friends very easily, and I, if anything, got picked on quite often. Like, I got picked on all the time as a kid. And what made this feeling worse was as I got older and I got a cell phone and I got access to social media, I got to see not just my, classmates hanging out at school and being friendly at school, but then I saw pictures of them going to the movies or having birthday parties or hanging out together, and it amplified that feeling of being alone and feeling lonely, like I had no close friends. Because I grew up not just being isolated by my peers, but then being bullied by them anytime I was around, I learned between the years of 8th grade and freshman year a really important lesson that it's better to be alone and experience moments of loneliness than it is to surround yourself with people and still feel alone. Now, please, Sabrina Carpenter style, do not self-isolate. Socialization is very important for us. As much as I enjoy being alone, I will be the first to admit that talking to people, going out in public, interacting with others is unfortunately very, very important for our mental health and well-being. But there are times that you have no choice but to be alone, to be by yourself, sometimes for prolonged periods of time. Maybe you just moved to a new area and you're having a really hard time making friends. Maybe you realize that the friend group you had wasn't a good friend group, and now you're by yourself because you got to figure out who you want to hang out with now. You got to figure out how to make friends again. First things first, you need a creative hobby, a physically creative hobby. Drawing, painting, crocheting, knitting, quilting, woodworking, wood carving, whatever it is. Just something physical that you can create with your hands. Legos, puzzles, something like that. Not only are you going to be able to see yourself physically improving in your craft, but it gives you more confidence because you have something to sit down, to look forward to, and you get to see yourself improve. If this video gets 20 likes, I will bust out my very first sweater that I ever made. It's bad. It looks bad. But if we compare it to the sweater that I made last year, they look very, very different because with time, with practice, with patience, I was able to learn how to make a better sweater. Doesn't mean that the first one is awful and should be totally written off. No, that's my starting point. That's the point that I can look at and go, I remember when I made this sweater, and now I made these other ones that look significantly better because I kept practicing. It gives you that confidence of knowing that if you stick to something and you practice and you try, that you will succeed. Rule number 2, you are going to get a physical hobby that has nothing to do with weight loss. This is for the exact same reason as the first one. This is the same reason as the first one, but for physically moving your body, okay? You're not focusing on losing inches around your waist. You're not focusing on how fast the pounds are disappearing on the scale. What you're focusing on is a gradual, slow improvement of your physical skill because you have taken time to practice it. You have had the patience to continue working at it, and slowly but surely, you've gained more skills, more knowledge, more confidence because of how often you try and succeed, right? Belly dancing, dancing in general, Zumba, calisthenics, running, swimming, whatever calls to you. If you have access to a rock climbing gym and that's something you've always wanted to try, go rock climbing two days out of the week. How about that, okay? If you have access to a rock climbing gym or a gym near you, a swimming pool near you, try to make an effort to go there twice a week. Not because you're trying to lose weight, not because you're trying to get toned, but because you are trying to physically move your body. That's really good for you, and it gives you something to look forward to. Sometimes even a physical place to go. That way, you find like-minded people who are also interested in the same thing that you're interested in, and oh my goodness, suddenly you have friends. Suddenly you have friends. It's a really tricky process, but I promise if you start going outside and you start finding physical activities that really make you happy, again, not for weight loss, just for the joy of it, you'll find some extra people out there to be friends with, as well as knowing how to be by yourself if those friends aren't there. The last tip that I have is to emotionally get in touch with yourself. And there's a lot of different ways to do this that aren't just, say, going to therapy. Journaling, specifically scrap journaling or junk journaling, can be really fun and really expressive. Meditating, yoga, talking to yourself, or talking and making audio notes. I sometimes save audio notes on my phone so that I can just rant and rave about something, and when I play it back I can hear, okay, what was I actually frustrated about? What about today what made me the most mad? Where did I get the most loud? Where was I the most affected? Taking the time to sit in silence with yourself, even if you just start out with 5 minutes. 5 minutes of silence, eventually 10 minutes of silence, 15 minutes of silence. It takes time, but you are the most important person in the world to get to know. When you're sitting there and you're feeling lonely because you are alone, remember you're not alone. There's you. You're the most important person to get to know because you're the one that has to live your life. You're the one that's got to go through this whole adventure, go through this whole experience. So when you lay your head down at your pillow at night, I want you to feel comfortable and happy and content knowing yourself. It takes time. It takes a lot of work and dedicated patience and love. But you will get there. The sooner you get to know yourself, the better it is. The more fun you have, the less lonely you feel, even when you're alone. So again, I am not advocating for complete social isolation. I am not isolation. So, I am not advocating for completely socially isolating yourself and never going out and interacting with people in the public. But what I am advocating for is when you have those moments that you are completely alone and by yourself and you feel lonely, use that as the opportunity to get to know yourself. Use that as the opportunity to push yourself a little further. There's constantly memes nowadays of not being able to sit with your own thoughts, and I definitely feel that way sometimes. The more you push yourself to be able to sit with those thoughts, the more content you get with yourself, the more you learn about yourself. And I think that that's the most important thing. Maybe I'm just a little dramatic. Thank you so much though for watching all the way to the end. I really appreciate it, and hopefully I will see you guys in the next video.